Welcome to the Ultimate Bloons TD6 strategy series, where I'm going to be showing you strategies for every single tower from the Dart Monkey to the Beast Handler and every single path in between. This will show you how to diversify your setup and get better, along with seeing some stats, tips and tricks, and all of the strategies for every single one of the towers. And although that the series is geared more towards Chimps mode, this will also show you a lot of tips and tricks that apply to the standard game and will allow you to win with a new style. It's time for last of the Mermonkey and of all the magic monkeys. So we have the bottom path Mermonkey, which is the final harmonic, the symphonic resonance, and the alluring melody. So let's get right into it. So the alluring melody isn't really used. This just doesn't really do much. It's kind of like the Riptide Champion. Really fails at getting ceramics. The symphonic resonance is great as a mid-game Moab stall and can be used in late-game Moab stall too. Final harmonic can do late-game Moab stall and has some really cool tower-specific synergies that are unbelievably busted, like extremely strong. So definitely covered those, plus some other really cool things about these guys. So the alluring melody there, it literally just doesn't do much. Never recommend using getting it, just have the alluring melody. But the tier 4 is where things really ramp up. This thing is really powerful. It can suck in Moabs. It's kind of like the balloon chipper from BTU5, if you remember that guy. Kind of does basically ish the same thing. The balloons will get sucked in and then they'll get popped out where they came from. Tier 5 does the same thing, but it's ramped up, and it also has the ability to instantly take off damage over time effects, which is really powerful with the Glaive Lord and the Bloon Solver. So for the cross paths, you want to get 10X, so the 104 and 105. The 205 doesn't do anything for the main totem, but the 104 and 105 will make it shoot a bit faster. When it comes to buffs, there isn't really any buffs that you want to give this guy, and then when it comes to maps that it works well on, it will really work out well on any map. Just the maps that are going to be good for the towers that it's going to be supporting will be good. That's really because it's like a support tower. Support towers generally, they're going to be better on maps for the towers that you're trying to support, and for this case it would be more like Glaive Lord and Bloon Solver, plus whatever else you're doing with the tier 4. And then as it's also a support tower, the hero doesn't really necessarily matter much. The pros is that it's great unique Moab support, amazing powerful synergies, and it's very easy to afford the upgrades. However, it lacks some critical consistency, and its tier 5 is tied to a few towers for its most strong combinations. And then for the objectives, we're just going to be looking at the final harmonic and the symphonic resonance as their support, and then also just the final harmonic synergies that involve the Glaive Lord and the Bloon Solver. So let's start off here taking a look at the strategy with the Glaive Lord. It's going to be very simple. We're just going to be trying to get the Glaive Lord up, and I'll give a few tips kind of about this guy. So it is not a damage shower. It will not be doing damage, so we really aren't going to be starting with it at all. In fact, also the tier 3 is really bad, as you probably have heard and probably have noticed when like playing with the guy. The tier 3 just is not good at all. It misses so many ceramics, just incredibly inconsistent, really won't do you any good at all. So we're not going to want that. We're going to be waiting quite some time until we're actually going to buy the Mermonkey up itself in a majority of the situations. Sometimes you might just have like a tier 2 Mermonkey, just like as kind of a placeholder or something, or try to build up the rest of your defenses. So other than that, just like don't really build into it until we have the rest of everything covered. So I'm going to be getting this Glaive Ricochet, Glaive Ricochet into more Glaives up here. Just a 402 because I'm not going to be getting an MIB or like Glue-Storm. Don't really care about that, so we can just get a 402. It's still pretty darn good. And then we'll have Sod down there at the bottom doing whatever Sod is doing. We want to get this Glaive Lord up at a relatively good time, somewhere in the mid 70s, so that will allow me to get something to take out the Moabs pretty well, which I'm going to choose to go for a aircraft carrier, which is going to be really nice. And then we'll also be able to get the tier 4 symphonic resonance up too. We're just going to alch buff that Sod and use the ability so we can take out around 40, and then with some Moab damage, well, the Moab damage will come up later, but with the more Glaives kind of dealing with the balloons, got our village up, got some decamo, I can go for the symphonic resonance. So basically for the consistency, it's actually pretty consistent on a majority of maps. Really, the longer the map, the more consistent it's going to be. On some shorter maps, it's going to kind of struggle in every part of the game. Like on Workshop, you can't really have this guy sucking all the Moabs, but on some decently length, intermediate, and advanced maps, you should be able to really do quite well with the Symphonic Resonance. The only thing is that it won't really be totally consistent up until round 60, so there maybe your hero abilities will kind of come in, but generally I don't really recommend having this guy being like your 2B all Moab killer, because it doesn't do damage to the mobs, it just kind of makes them spin around, and if another Moab comes in when another one's spinning around, or the cooldown is off, because the cooldown will be off, then they kind of can just slip by, like that Moab that almost did there, right there on round 57. So before round 60, this doesn't necessarily become like a huge issue. If you're going for something cheaper and just using the Symphonic Resonance, you could get away with it ish, but we're going to be going for a little more expensive things, so I'm going to grab this with the aircraft carrier, and then this is going to do really well. The aircraft carrier is going to do some good damage, the Symphonic Resonance will make them spin around, nothing's going anywhere, and that more Glaives will help out with all the balloons that are leaking. So I can grab Glaive Lord very easy, no issues at all in the mid game, and then we're going to go for the final Harmonic next. Because we have Glaive Lord, this is going to be a bit of an issue, and we could actually take this setup very, very far, because you can use the Symphonic Resonance in like pretty much all parts of the game. In like the earlier mid game to kind of just make a bunch of these Moabs go nowhere and lock them in. You can use it as, you can like introduce it in the mid 70s, like on round 75, to kind of get the BFBs out of the way and just stop them from advancing so far. You could introduce it there, and it's going to work out really well getting a bunch of the BFBs. You can introduce it in the 80s and have like all of these other BFBs, a good chunk of them at least, spinning around going in nowhere land. And then in the late game too, like round 98, it's going to help a lot. So it can really do a lot, and you can get a Symphonic Resonance down, and it's going to be helping you in all parts of the game, and that's really nice. A lot of towers don't do that. Some of them like kind of fall off hard, some of them they don't really do their purpose as good, but Symphonic Resonance will be good, if not better even, in many circumstances in the late game. So that's really, really nice. Or you could get it up to the tier 5, and then you can start spinning around ZOMGs. Another cool thing is that the tier 4 will do DDTs too, which is really nice. The other thing is that DDTs, it's not consistent. They're going to be speeding by fast. So we do have the Glaive Lord and the final Harmonic now, which is great synergy. I can move the totem to be over, but I'm going to need something to deal with DDT, so I get a super glue, and like even this isn't necessarily enough, because the Glaive Lord and final Harmonic, both of them aren't the greatest at DDTs. If you're doing this with the Bloon Solver, it's going to be even worse, so you're going to need a lot for DDTs. Even with the super glue, that round 95 was still pretty close. I'd recommend even a Sabo on top of that. When doing this with Bloon Solver, it's kind of the same. You get the same DOT, instant takeoff with the final Harmonic, all that the same. It's just that Bloon Solver is a bit weaker in most cases than your Glaive Lord, and on round 98 it's especially worse. And the other cool thing about this is that you don't have to worry about round 100. We're just going to absolutely shred round 100 at an unbelievably fast rate. With Bloon Solver, it won't be as fast. You might still need a first strike on some shorter maps, but it's just crazy powerful. Final Harmonic and Glaive Lord, just grab something for DDTs and you'll be good. It's very, very, very strong. Now let's take a look at another use, and that is not by getting final Harmonic. We can just keep it at a tier 4, and it's going to be doing very well. In fact, you can get multiple tier 4s and really put the BFBs in a spin for the loop just by having them go around in circles. So to do that, it's going to be pretty simple. Here we're going to be going on, what map is this? Spiced Islands, home of the Spice Girls on the Spiced Islands. So it's going to be doing very well. Maybe it won't do as good as the Spice Girls did, but we're going to have the whole crew up. We're going to get the destroyer up there, which is going to become an aircraft carrier, and then we're going to have a reactor, kind of all that stuff. Again, you can't really start off with the Symphonic Resonance, so we're just kind of getting into the basics of a water setup with Brickle, and we can use Brickle's abilities too here and there. Just trying to get reactor up, then we can submerge that. That's going to be doing good with all the balloons, and it's going to be our camo for us. Then we're going to get that destroyer up, and all will be good. So I'm just going to pair this with the reactor there, and then the carrier flag should kind of clean up. I'm going to do a balloon impact later also to do kind of keep the ceramics at bay. You're going to need something when you're doing this, because you aren't going to be pairing it with the final harmonic, or not the final harmonic. You won't have the final harmonic if you're doing an approach like this, and you're probably not going to have like Glaive or Bloon Solver. I guess you could get Bloon Solver too. Yeah, why not? You could do whatever really, but we're just going to be going all in on these water towers, so we'll get that carrier up. I'm going to grab just this ballistic missile to help save up for the carrier flagship, because I'm going to need a little bit more help with that probably, so we'll just keep that to just in case. Then that will get me into the carrier flagship, and that ballistic missile is going all the way up to preemptive strike. This is going to be pretty good, because DDTs are going to be a huge issue. We have like nothing to deal with DDTs unless we kind of all ramp out with like Blue Storm setups and all that stuff, but we're just gonna get that up so we don't have to deal with DDTs. Preemptive strike is pretty cool. It can deal like a lot of damage to the Moabs too when it's at 052, and then after that let's just get a whole bunch of symphonic resonances. So basically we have some good like single target damage, some stuff to deal with DDT, something to deal with round 100, got some stuff to deal with whatever ceramics. So to make the strategy come all together for all that like nasty junk, like all the massive amounts of BFBs that will come out from these extremely heavy rounds like 96 and 98, why don't we just get a few symphonic resonances in and just make them spin in circles doing whatever? And this works out pretty well. You can use it as a strategy. It's a pretty fun strategy, definitely a really interesting approach that will work out. The DDTs are just going to be gone. One issue is that the DDTs on round 99 will be here, but with enough symphonic resonances, the consistency is good enough to be able to just slurp up all the DDTs and you'll be able to take them out. You can do that and like use that Brickle Mega Mine or something. The Brickle Mega Mine will also come in useful. You can pop that on the ZOMGs and they'll all pop open, and then the symphonic resonance will just be able to grab all of them. Round 95 is not going to be an issue at all, which is really nice. So yeah, it's a pretty funky strategy. One thing to say is that I would space up the totems. You can place them like kind of separated out so they won't all be on the same downtime as each other, which will be very nice because it will make the consistency way better. You can use Brickle's abilities, all that stuff. Like as you can see there, I just ripped open the ZOMGs and everything's gone. So yeah, really cool tower. Some great strategies with tier 5, and the tier 4 is just generally really good at all parts of the game. Very nice. Thanks for watching. If you want to help out the channel, you can check out these new videos, like and subscribe for more content, support the channel by becoming a member, and joining the Discord to chat with the community. Bye!